the 20th of December 1942. The Barents Sea. The sky is a mass of bruised gray, barely distinguishable from the churning water. Somewhere north of Norway, midnight never truly brings darkness, only a colder shade of twilight. The deck plates shudder beneath your boots. Spray from the freezing ocean coats every surface with diamonds of ice. A klaxon blares. It's not the storm, not this time. Overhead, black dots, growing, Luftwaffe bombers. Lieutenant Commander James Jim Foster grips the rail of HMS Sheffield, eyes burning behind frosted goggles. Searchlights snap on, slicing through the Arctic dusk. The convoy is spread in nervous formation. Liberty ships, British and Soviet freighters, their holds bursting with tanks, planes, boots, lifeblood for a distant front. All around, their Royal Navy escorts bristle with guns and antennae, outnumbered but determined, a shriek Stukas in a screaming dive. The sharp staccato of AA guns erupts. The air is thick with smoke, tracers, and the unmistakable howl of bombs slicing toward the heaving decks below. Brace for impact, someone yells, and you feel yourself duck involuntarily, twin terrors of steel and ice fighting for dominion over the moment. You blink salt and snow from your eyes. Somewhere aft, an explosion. A merchantman staggers. Men tumble into the hungry sea. In these latitudes, lifespans are measured in minutes, once overboard. There's little chance for rescue, not now, not ever, not here. Above all else is the unrelenting cold, biting through every layer of wool and steel. All you can think is survival. Survive the guns, the bombs, the torpedoes from unseen U-boats below. Survive the storm. The guns are still hammering as you hear the call, carried on the wind. Convoy PQ-17 under attack. That moment is just a sliver of what it meant to be part of the Arctic convoys, urgently vital, always at the edge. In a dim-walled briefing room in London, December 1941, the air is thick with tobacco and tension. Prime Minister Winston Churchill's eyes shine, half hopeful, half flinty. The Eastern Front is bleeding. Stalin is pleading for help. To hold the Soviets in the fight, Britain must deliver supplies, and the Arctic route is the only way. Bring me those convoys, Churchill demands. No matter the cost. Rear Admiral Robert Burnett, fresh from the North Atlantic, traces the map's cold blue veins scape a flow to Murmansk, a gauntlet skirting enemy-held Norway. The room watches as Burnett's finger hovers over the white void labeled as Arctic Ocean. There, wolves circle, U-boats, Luftwaffe wings, the dreaded German battleship Tirpitz. The ice itself is a foe. Orders flow outward, urgent but shadowed by the price. Each convoy is a roll of the dice, every ship a gamble with crewmen's lives. Yet the alliance demands it. Supplies mean survival not just for Russia, for the whole anti-Nazi cause. Thousands of volunteers sign on, many barely more than boys. The silence in Westminster is mirrored by oaths whispered in cramped mess halls and on foggy Scottish quays. For king and country, yes, and for promises kept in storm and fire. Already the first convoys, code-named PQ and JW, begin to take shape in these rooms, lifelines drawn in courage and conviction. January 1943. Sunrise, somewhere between the Shetlands and the edge of the pack ice. Your world is reduced to three things: a horizon barely glimpsed through squalls, the constant threat of enemy eyes, and the bone-breaking cold. Seaman Alexei Orlov, third mate from Leningrad, checks his compass against starlight. As Soviet and British sailors work side by side, language, a barrier, hardship, a universal language, each watch seems longer, the hull's metal a razor's edge between life and the abyss. Icy fog closes in, stealing even the thin comfort of moonlight. Suddenly, the convoy's silhouette blurs. Only by regulation, whistle blasts, and Morse signals do ships cling together. Somewhere in the gloom, a British destroyer pushes through, ice floes clanging like tombstones along her sides. Night forges a special terror. The aurora shimmers, mocking the hidden predators below the surface. In engine rooms and chart houses alike, men paste heating pads to chests, stomp frozen boots, and pass around doctored tea. Joints ache, eyelids freeze shut. Frostbite is as lethal as shrapnel. At 0400 hours, the wireless crackles. Enemy aircraft identified. Hearts pound double. The convoy, crawling at barely 9 knots, can only wait and hope the low clouds keep them hidden. You hunker down, breath hot in your scarf, eyes fixed on the sliver of hope beneath the endless sheets of gray and green. 600, the 22nd of January, 1943. Below the rolling black, Captain Lieutenant Otto von Schrader, commander of U-456, scans the periscope. The convoy stretches across his lens, ghostly shapes shrouded by sea mist. Orders are brief: disrupt, destroy, disappear. The Arctic narrows are a hunter's paradise. Suddenly the sonar pulses. Depth charges. Frigates above know the wolves are close. The metallic thunder rolls through the U-boat hull like the voice of judgment. Von Schrader orders silent running, beads of condensation gathering on every surface. On the escorts, the reverse is chaos. HMS Onslow's sonar room is sepulchral, red-lit, and tense. Contact bearing 042. The captain's knuckles whiten. Stokers shovel coal like men possessed. Down below, the U-boat lies still, every man aware that a single mistake means death by pressure, depth, or the enemy's sharp steel. Above, a Liberty ship reels as a torpedo erupts starboard, fire on ice. Rescue teams scramble, but in these waters, the cold is often the real killer. U-boat packs strike hard and fast, then slip away, seeking the next victim in the endless night. For those on the surface, the enemy is both seen and unseen, a shadow in the periphery, a trail of oil on black water, a sudden silence where a ship once was. Every sailor learns to hate the periscope's thin glint as much as the howl of the wind. The sun dares to rise behind a low curtain of cloud, painting the floes with a weak, honeyed glow. Stranded men cling to Carly floats, the remnants of a shattered freighter. Their hands are clawed, locked with cold. Only 3 survive out of 30, hauled shakily aboard a destroyer and wrapped in steaming blankets. One will never wake. In the cramped sick bay, Chief Petty Officer Henry Walsh tends to frostbite, burns, and the wide-eyed shock that follows a close call. He moves from bunk to bunk, a silent promise that not everyone will be left behind. Rumors circulate. Another ship lost, another name crossed from the muster roll. Letters home are hoarded treasures. Some are written by lamplight, others simply imagined, for few would risk their family's heartbreak with the brutal truth. Even in their sleep, men twitch, dreaming of ice and iron and the constant drone of engines. Yet there are moments of stubborn hope, shared soup, a raucous chorus in the wardroom, the tambourine, clatter of thawed coffee mugs on a galley table. These become rituals, small stones of sanity in a world of chaos. For every sailor and airman, the Arctic is a personal crucible. Survival is a daily act of defiance. The 27th of June, 1942. Convoy PQ-17 enters the most infamous chapter in Arctic history. The rumor rips through every deck. The Tirpitz has sailed. Orders come, scatter. In an instant, the iron wall of mutual protection disintegrates. Freighters break formation, searching desperately for safety. Isolation breeds terror. Ships are picked off, one by prowling U-boats and Stuka bombers. Wireless messages grow frantic. Calls for help, location pings, then static. More than 2/3 of PQ-17 ships never reach Murmansk. The survivors carry guilt as much as relief, haunted by the faces of shipmates lost in fire and freezing surf. Yet out of this disaster emerges a steely resolve. Crews demand to return. Escort commanders rewrite the escort doctrine, vowing never again to scatter convoys. Churchill calls the loss appalling, but the flow of vital supplies does not falter. If anything, the Arctic run becomes more determined, more audacious, every crossing another middle finger raised at fate. Early 1944. The Arctic wind still howls, but Murmansk's docks are alive with the roar of cranes, the crash of boots, the thunder of T-34 tanks rolling off British cargo ships. American pilots and Russian stevedores toast over barrels of herring and vodka, their laughter a sharp contrast to the recent past. Convoy JW58 arrives almost intact, a triumph hailed from London to Moscow. The tide is turning. Air cover improves. Escort groups grow bolder, and Soviet PT boats prowl the fjords. The death toll is still high, but the Allies have learned. Commander Foster stands on the bridge, exhausted, eyes drawn to the horizon. His ship has scars, but the crew's morale is unbroken. Cheers erupt as the Soviet flag appears, flapping above the ice. Years of cold, carnage, and courage now feel like they have meaning. Supplies have reached those who need them, and another blow has landed on the Nazi war machine. May 1945. The guns finally fall silent. The Arctic convoys, nearly 80 inches total, more than 1,400 merchant ships, and over 100 escorts, have delivered 4 million tons of essential war material to the Soviet Union. The price is terrible. 85 merchant ships and 16 Royal Navy warships lost, thousands of lives claimed by bullet, bomb, and ice. Today, wreaths float on freezing seas. Survivors remember the ache of frostbite, the roar of bombs, the taste of hot broth after hours at battle stations. Monuments in Murmansk and Liverpool, in Reykjavik and Archangelsk, stand as silent witnesses. What endures is not just the victory, but the sacrifice, the promise kept across an abyss of cold, the camaraderie of freezing men who would not abandon one another, and the echo of courage that still drifts across the Arctic winds. You can almost feel the chill, even now. Ships and 16 Royal Navy warships lost, thousands of lives claimed by bullet, bomb, and ice. Today, wreaths float on freezing seas. Survivors remember the ache of frostbite, the roar of bombs, the taste of hot broth after hours at battle stations. Monuments in Murmansk and Liverpool, in Reykjavik and Archangelsk, stand as silent witnesses. What endures is not just the victory, but the sacrifice, the promise kept across an abyss of cold, the camaraderie of freezing men who would not abandon one another, and the echo of courage that still drifts across the Arctic winds. You can almost feel the chill, even now.